Music matters. DrownMili, how you doing, bro?
Doing good, man. Doing great.
Awesome. Appreciate you doing this, dude. Thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you driving all the way out here.
Dig.
Yeah, how's your day going so far? What's your week been like?
Smooth. A lot of just working and honestly taking some time for myself. You know what I'm saying? I gotta take, make yourself a priority is really important. So that's something I've been, not even just this week, just like in life in general. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been like good about that traditionally? I say that because I'm I'm notably very bad at that, and I've like tried really hard to get better.
Yeah, bro. I'm not that I'm not that good at like putting myself first. You know what I'm saying? Like that's I feel like there's like things happening in my life that's like teaching me that the hard way. Like, yo, put yourself first, bro. You know what I'm saying? Unapologetically. So
that's really crazy. That's like exactly what I've been feeling lately. Yeah.
So I'm in the universe right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I literally was talking about this last night with my girlfriend, and we were talking about how like, just like it's so difficult because like working in music or being a musician or working in any kind of art, there's not really hours generally, right? Like there's in most cases there's not like I work 10 to 6 or I work 9 to 5 or whatever. And I mean that is really dope for the flexibility, and that's awesome, because if you could take a full week off and then just double down the next week, whatever you want to do. But that being said, there's also no level at which you can stop. Right. So it's like you can just literally like run yourself into the ground if you don't have those barriers. I've been trying to get better at like, and I'd be curious if you've ever done this because you've been in this so long, but I've been trying to get better at like structuring my day like similarly to like almost like a 9 to 5. Yeah. Where like I'm working for 8 hours, 9 hours, and then after like even though I want to do more shit, I'll stop myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I feel like just like you said, like being an artist, creative, or in whatever field, it's like you have the ability to make use of your time how you see fit. Right? Yeah. Because it's like I'm not working like a regular job. I'm not doing this, so it's like I really have time at my disposal. And I think like the older I get, the more like when I was younger, it was all about like fuck a routine. Like I'm just doing me.
Exactly how I
outside, feel. Like I'm going with the motion, I feel like making music right now, I'm making music. I feel like hitting the bar, I'm hitting the bar. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the older I get, I realize how just some form of organization, whether that is a routine that's like strict like 9, 10, 11, or, just having these like holders, like these placeholders in your life that like, you don't get too like deep in. You don't get too like out of center, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think like that's something that's big for me right now, is because like I feel like I spent a lot of time like doing what I think is right, you know what I'm saying? But like really it's like you gotta think about like your well-being, you gotta nurture yourself, your mind, your spirit, all of that. You could put 100 into whatever. It could be music, it could be whatever. You want to be a fucking lawyer, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you don't want to run yourself into the ground. One day you look back like fuck. I
think it's so funny that you're thinking about this right now, because that's like same time, bro. Like I've been thinking about that so much, like recently, maybe more than ever. And one thing that you just said that I think I resonated with is that kind of like, it's really weird, but it's like that return to center. Like because I'm the same way. When I was younger, all like my entire mindset was like fuck a 9 to 5. I'm never gonna do that shit. Like I'm gonna be independent and work for my like whatever. And I still to a degree feel that way. Right.
It still holds true. But there's more truths to that. It's more than just that. Right? There's more layers that you have to build in order to make that a real reality. Yeah, dude. If everybody in the world is like fuck a 9 to 5 and I'm just gonna you'd be fucking crazy. Right? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like it's made more sense to me when I've kind of like reshifted like what my vitriol is against, like because it was like I don't know, it's really weird, but it's like when I was younger, I think this can go for a lot of people who like don't want to work a corporate job or like are just rebellious kids by nature or whatever, but like my whole mindset was just like fuck the man.
Stick it to whoever.
But exactly, like, who is that though? It's like who even is that? So it's interesting, like as I got older I'm like damn, like these people working 9 to 5s, I feel bad that like if it's at something they dislike, but maybe the hours stuff they kind of got that right, or maybe there's some things they got right.
The more I get older, I realize like I feel how I feel about certain things, but there's so many ways to like walk life. You know what I'm saying? Some people find their truths and they find their comfort and their purpose within doing something that may not just work for me at all, and that's cool, you know what I'm saying? But I think like, you know, I try to keep a balance with like even my friends and, you know, people I talk to, because I got homies that are into music, like 10 toes deep into music, but I also got homies that like do work a 9 to 5, do regular shit, and I think like getting that perspective from both worlds, it's like, you know, helps me stay balanced. Everything's about balance, man.
Yeah, I feel that. It's all about balance and the pursuit of balance. Yeah. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I feel like I tell this story so fucking often, but I'm going to say it again because it reminded me of what you were just saying.
Let's do it.
A friend of mine named Tim who works in music full time. He's like he's a promoter, manager, does everything. He's a great guy. But I got lunch with him one day and we were talking about like balance, and I was asking him, because he's worked music for a long time, and I asked him, I was like, how do you maintain that level of balance in your life? And he looked at me and he said, what do you do outside of music? And I had this like moment where I was like, whoa, like nothing. I was like, my job is music. Like for fun, I play music. I was like, all my friends are in music. So like, I've in the past year made an effort to like get to that place where you were saying you're at, because you need people outside of music.
Yo, you do, yeah. I think like there's a point in my life when I was younger and just super ambitious, and I'm like, I'm gonna take over the world. Yeah, it's like, yo, like, all I need is music. Like, fuck everything in my reality right now. I'm doing this music shit. And then it's like, luckily enough for me, it's like you get to a certain place and you're like, okay, like I made it somewhere now. And now it's like, yo, I need more than this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you need to expand upon it. And you know, I'm still like in the process of that. You know, just finding more things that I like, because all of those things, like, you know, they bring inspiration, you know what I'm saying? They add value into your life, you know what I'm saying? You need that as an artist. Like, it's a creative, we're burning fuel being creative, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta fuel it in other ways outside of just like, for me it would be like recording music, you know what I'm saying? So like, before we hopped on here, I was like, yeah, I'm trying to play guitar. Like, there's certain things, I'm just trying to find other ways to like, you know, express myself and learn more about myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I'm the shit at rapping, but then I pick up a guitar, I'm like, fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to start from the draw, and that's exciting. It's scary, like but it's exciting, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a new demon to slay. Something new to battle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, bro, I think that is like, and don't get me wrong, like, I think making your passion your job is a beautiful, beautiful thing in 95% of circumstances. But I will say that the other, like, I think the other edge of that sword is like, when you make your art or your passion your job, you can never look at it the same way.
Yeah, you can.
You can't, you know? Like,
so different,
it's like I mean, I began creating because I felt like I had something to provide, and I love the feedback, and I love the community, and I love talking to people about, like, I loved all of it. And that's still why I do it to this day. But it's like, when I began, I could stop the next day and it didn't matter, right? Yeah, and it still might be that case, most likely, right? Like, I don't think anybody really care if I stopped, but I make a living off it now. Like now, if I don't create, I don't eat, you know? So it becomes more difficult and more complicated in that sense, and you kind of got to like boil down to like the things that remind you that you love it, you know?
It's like a video game, bro. It's like real shit, because it's like that you keep climbing levels and shit, and it's like you still got to remember like the basics, like what you did at level 1 to get to level 2, even if you're at level 50, you know what I'm saying? It's like those are like the core things, and sometimes on the pursuit of whatever, it's like you could lose those things, or they're just out of touch. It's just natural as humans, you know what I'm saying? So it definitely is like a challenge creatively, you feel me, to like, you have to encompass everything you're becoming and everything that you were, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
No, for sure, dude. Yeah. When you, because we were talking before, like, it's really sick to me, like, how long you've been doing this. You've been doing this for, like, years and years and years. When you look back at, like, your journey, not only just as a creative, but as an individual, when do you think you began to realize you needed that balance, and it couldn't all just be music 24/7?
I would probably say maybe when I was, like, 20, 21 or 22. And there's a difference between like realizing it, and I think I realized it during that time, but I still had to go through life experiences to learn how to incorporate and apply it, you know, and make those changes, you know what I'm saying? I'm a hard learner, bro. Like, I'm someone who has to experience life to learn the lesson from myself, you feel me? People will tell me like da-da-da-da-da, and I hear them, and it's like, I know it's true or whatever, but you know, I gotta feel it. I let my spirit kind of just guide me wherever, you know.
I think it's a good thing as long as you're aware of it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the most you can do is be aware.
Dude, I feel like knowing yourself in regards like that, like knowing that you have to go through the experience is like a very, very valuable thing. Somebody I respect a lot and look up to a lot. One time he told me he'd rather be wrong like 100 times, but like learn each one of those wrongs than be right the first time and learn nothing. And I think about that all the time, because it's like I think about like the biggest strides I've made. They always followed like the most crushing failures, like the most desperate I've ever been. Like that always was what directly preceded like the biggest wins, you know? Do you have like, when you think about like times where you've had that, do you have any, what do you think the biggest turning points in your career are and have been? Because I mean, you've been at this how many years?
It's probably, I'll say seriously, when I made my SoundCloud, it was like 2015 maybe.
Nice, okay.
I'll say that. I was making music before that, but I say that's when I first started.
It's like 9-10 years?
Yeah, like building like a fan base and people like, yo, who the fuck is DrownMili? You know what I'm saying? Outside of like locally, so yeah. So yeah, about like 9-10 years. But what was the question again?
I was asking like, damn, what was it?
What was it?
I said, you've been doing this 9-10 years. When?
Oh, a pivotal moment.
Oh, yeah, turning point.
Right. There's a few, but one that I could say that definitely changed everything was, you know, I came up with like a group, you know what I'm saying? I came up with a group, and shout out my nigga Burn Cash, that's like my brother. We came up together. When we moved out here to LA together. When he got arrested, you know, that changed like everything. You feel me? Because that was like my partner in crime, you know what I mean? So it forced me, you know, I think it's different navigating into like the music industry, especially like if you don't have people around you that, you know, that you could also be friends with, or like people that really give a fuck, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people come around and they just kind of caught up in what you can do, and that's not all of you, you know what I'm saying? So I think like when he got arrested, it forced me to like look at myself as just a solo artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does DrownMili, what do I want? You know what I'm saying? And that was a pivot. And out of that situation, it's like I birthed one of my like biggest songs. You know what I'm saying? Where I made that shit like 2 days after he got arrested. Broken laptop, like, you know, real shit. And it's like my biggest record. It's like no effort. It's just, that's what I was feeling, and it caught something, you know. So that song was how I knew about you. My roommate right there, Mateo, he like is bumping that for like a very, very, very long time. Fuck yeah.
But that was like that was like how I found you in the beginning. Dude, that's a very, very important point, I think. Like the person that can be not only a collaborator but like a friend, and like where those lines begin and end, and like how that kind of like it's weird, right? Because it transcends like a certain thing, but it's like I think there is something about creating with somebody every single day that kind of builds this like really, really, really like special bond. Like,
nah, for real.
You know, so much to where like when it's think about like bands, right? Like I feel like when bands break up, that's such like a difficult, like hard, like heartbreaking thing, because it's like that's such a sacred partnership, you know?
Nah, absolutely. I look at it like I don't know if you watch anime, like it's like Naruto Sasuke, like, you feel me? As he gets stronger, it's like I'm getting stronger. You feel me? He might do some ill shit that I can't do, and that like motivate me. You know what I'm saying? So it was like having not only having like a really good friend, but having someone that you respect. Like artistically, and you know what I'm saying? You kind of like feed off of that energy. At a certain point, it's like I didn't have that person that I could like bounce. Like, you know, naturally bounce stuff off. It's like no words. Like I don't gotta explain to you how the beat gotta be. I don't got, you know what I'm saying? So that required me to like really just focus on myself and harness those abilities that, you know, maybe I was like suppressing or like skipping over. You know what I'm saying? Like put focus on those things and build them. And
that's also a bond that I think can only be built in that way. Like it only can come from like the hours and hours you spend on shit, and like all the records you cut that like end up on the floor and like don't go anywhere. You know, like all the records that just you two have heard. You know?
Nah, real shit.
How did you meet him? Did you meet him in New York?
I met him in middle school.
Okay.
I met him in 6th grade. You know, I was at the time I was like rapping, but nothing serious. You know, like I was like making funny bars and shit, like, just around the school, and people kind of knew me like from that. And then one day he kind of just came up to me and was just like, "Yo, bro, like you know, I want to start a rap group. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to be in it. And I'm gonna be honest, at first, like, you know, we kind of like opposite people in a way. You feel me? I'm more like reserved and like introspective. He's like a really out there type of guy.
Yeah.
So we ain't really like get along at first, and I was like, fuck no. But you know, just naturally, you know, we just started hanging out, making music, and yeah, the rest is kind of like history. You know what I'm saying? It really started from like 6th grade. Shit is crazy.
What was like that? What was it like in the beginning? Like when you were making records, like, and you were that young. Were there anybody like in your school that were like listening to it? Like, were you known around the school for stuff like that?
Yo, real shit. We had a teacher. He was like an English teacher, and like I said, we were rambunctious. Like we were just running around doing stupid shit. Like we were like Odd Future goth kids or something. I don't fucking know. I don't know how to explain it, but. You know, people were taking notice. We had people that, you know, fucked with the music, but we had this English teacher who saw like potential in us, I guess, and you know, he took us to the side and he was like, yo, like, I'm gonna start like a club. You know, we got new computers in the computer room. I'm gonna teach you guys how to record yourselves on GarageBand. So we were like focused on that. Like we would go after school every day and just like learn GarageBand, record on like a snowball. And we
did that blue snowball.
Yeah,
OG.
Bro. Fucking whatever, $40 or whatever. Yeah, we had them shits, and we was like doing that every day. You know what I'm saying? Until like once school was over, you know, it was like, damn, how are we gonna record it? So we just stole the shit. We stole the microphone from the school, and that was the rest was history type shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I look at that as a special moment too, because it's like. We could have just been like, oh man, like we're fucked. What are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? But we took that shit. We took that shit and we kept going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Bro, shout out to that teacher. That's crazy.
Yo, that's my homie to this day, bro. Like, he'll dead ass just hit me up with some like inspirational shit out of nowhere, and I'll be like, yo, you still teaching me, bro? I'm a grown man now, but like, shit is crazy. Yeah.
I feel like, dude, the best teachers can like, and I say this a lot, but I think like. When I think about like what surgeons or like doctors are paid or whatever, right? Like I fully understand why they're paid that, right? Because they literally have the ability to save a life,
right?
But it's like I've always felt like teachers are maybe not to that degree, but like in a similar way. Like I think a kid can be going down like a bad path, and all it takes is one like really influential, like a good role model teacher to like change everything. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Real shit. I gotta say, like. I don't know how I would have figured out how to actually like record and figure out like
I'm gonna
that
move this
process.
Over here so the focus doesn't catch it.
For sure. I you know, I think about that sometimes. Like, yo, like how would I have learned how to record myself or get interested in that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before it was just like freestyling and like writing bars, spitting it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like he really played a pivotal part in early development.
It's also like that step to legitimize it, you know?
Yeah.
Because it is weird, man, but it's like you can believe in yourself all you want, and like obviously that's a good thing. Everybody should, and I'm sure anybody who's successful does that. But like when you have like that other individual, whether it be like someone who's older or even someone who's just, you know, is further along, whatever it be, but somebody who like you look up to that really believes in you, that changes your entire mindset, bro. Like that makes everything different.
Yo, guidance is a privilege. You know? It really is, because you know, having somebody that sees like what you're doing and they could give you like tips, or not even so much tips, because sometimes it could just be like guiding you in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? That's like everything, you know, for sure.
Yeah. So you're in middle school, you meet him, and then you're still rapping high school and stuff. When do you get to a place where it starts to feel a little bit real? Like when does it start to become something you're taking seriously?
I feel like it got bigger probably like the year after I graduated high school. So when I was like 18, 19, because up to that point, like I said, I was just a combination of everything that I thought was cool. So I was doing like Earl Sweatshirt shit.
Yeah.
I was doing like Kendrick shit. I was doing like ASAP or that South Florida type shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think after I graduated high school, you know, we kind of created this wave. At the time we called it like punk trap. You know, we were like tired of like, at least locally, like how everybody was approaching this rap shit. You know, it's like everybody just, you know, we wanted to spice it up. Like we knew what was lit, so we, you know, we wanted to bring like rock, like that hardcore energy. Like, you know, I feel like at any given time, there's like a time period, bro, where like just like collectively as a conscious, it's like people are frustrated. You know, like as a people, we're going through shit. So I think at that time, like as teenagers, we're like, yo, fuck everything that's going on right now. Like we need a better way to express this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'd say during that time period, like that had to be like maybe like 2016 or something around there. That's when like shit started changing. Cause the sound was different. Our energy was different. Just everything was different, and some people like hated it, and some people loved it. But you know, that's what it's about, though. Sometimes you just gotta, spark that reaction.
Yeah,
do something that's different. Challenge people.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how you build the back and the power of like a local fan base too. Yeah. It's like when you're doing something that's like really localized. Right. I feel like that's how you give people something to really believe in.
Right.
You know?
Real shit. Like locally at that time, like we were bringing mosh pits. Like before, like I'm from New York, bro. Like during that time period, motherfuckers was not mosh pitting. Motherfuckers is like, at least at a rap concert, that was like unheard of. I remember we were doing our shows, we were getting banned left and right, but it's like the people didn't give a fuck. Like they would go anywhere, house party, whatever. It's like we do venues, like they ban us. You know what I'm saying? But then like a month later, they want us to come back. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just lit. Like, so definitely like locally, I think it's like I'm gonna relate a lot of shit to like a video game. It's like a video game. You gotta build rep, right? So that's what we were doing. We just everywhere and just being ourselves unapologetically and not trying to fit in. You know what I'm saying? And that makes you stand out just naturally. And people want to be like you. Now people like, yo, I think like this, but nobody thinks it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, we creating a vibe and an outlet for like people that think like this or act like this or like this type of clothes, like fuck with us type shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's like always felt like a common thread to me amongst people who like, I mean just on the like the live side of things, on the show side of things, people who are able to give others like an outlet where they can go and just like fucking go crazy, like a release, right? And I mean that's like for some people that's like a aggressive release, and like maybe like punk communities or rap communities or whatever it is, but like for other people maybe it's just like a you go and dance, whatever it is, but it's like that like physical release being in like one place. I feel like all the bands and artists that I feel like get like the biggest movement live wise, they're able to curate that place where they can like make people feel like they have a release, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because that's what music is in itself is a release, right? So it's like, I feel like that's like a part of our jobs as artists. It's like, you're giving people something to like mentally stimulate them, spiritually stimulate, physically, it's like all aspects, so
Were you going to a lot of shows at that time? Like when you guys were like, when you kind of started popping off, like did you grow up going to shows, and were they rap shows or rock shows or both or?
Me personally, not so much. I was just a big fan of hip hop, Like I was like studying lyrics and that type of shit, you know what I'm saying? Just like always on a search for like something new, So I didn't really grow up, but then I started going to a couple shows. I think the first show I ever been to was like Lil B came to my city.
That's crazy.
Lil
first
B, the
show.
bass guy, but I had a pink flag, all that shit crazy. There's probably a picture somewhere out there, no funny shit. But that was like the first ever like rap show. And that was like cool for me because it's like, you spend so much time like on the internet or seeing it on the TV, on your phone, whatever, So that was cool. But I think by the time we started doing shows, a lot of the inspiration came from just shit that we saw that was like more exciting than what everybody's telling us is exciting. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, yeah.
Like, I grew up in like a really diverse like household musically, you know what I'm saying? Like my pops would play like real gritty lyrical shit, but he would also play like Jimi Hendrix and like Nirvana, Pink Floyd, or he'll play country music or all of that stuff. So I was exposed to a lot of that stuff like just growing up. Yeah. And that's why it's like even you listen to my music now, it's like it's always kind of something like a different element, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Damn, that's sick, dude. Yeah, I feel like it that early pivotal point is so influential, dude. Like what your parents play around like the house,
those core memories that that just sit there and you don't, for real.
And and I feel like sometimes you don't even realize like the way that it influences the way that you think and the way that it influences your life. Because I mean, like you like experiencing all those kinds of music, that's one thing. But also I'm sure like your dad's just openness to like all those different kinds of music like definitely like took a toll on you. And I'd ask you, as somebody who like makes a mix of a lot of different stuff, like you have some cuts that feel more rocky, some feel more poppy, some feel more rappy, like as that kind of artist who experiments a lot, like do you ever struggle with being labeled or tied down to one thing? Or like I guess I would ask too, like as you've gotten more and more into the industry, have you had experiences with people who like try to label you? And if so, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think when I was like more like new into what I'm doing, a lot of it was like I was like offended, like don't put me in a box, like how dare you? Like, but I think now I understand it's like that's just kind of like naturally as a human you're gonna
try to label stuff
with anything. You know what I'm saying? We always trying to like fit something into our perspective, our perception. You know what I'm saying? So now I don't really look at it as a negative. I see it as a positive because it's just you trying to figure out where I fit in the world that you know. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I think creatively I never get too like stuck because I'm always experimenting. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not the type of person to lock in on something for extremely long. Like I could focus on a certain sound and build it and do that, but I'm gonna always have the urge to like do the complete opposite. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you'll listen to my music, you'll hear like rock, you'll hear like, you know, the trap shit, you'll hear like, you know, pop shit, you'll hear whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, I just try to express myself how I see fit. Sometimes I want to fucking scream. Sometimes I want to sing. You know what I'm saying? It's like I try not to look at it so, like, you know, it's simple, you know? It's like, yo, I'm angry, so I'm going to fucking yell. Or maybe I'm angry and I want to say it softly. Like, you know, I don't know, you know, so.
And it's interesting, too, because that experimentation, like, obviously, like, the goal, and probably, like, when you think you're doing it, like, the goal is to find what you do like, but it's almost like what's more valuable, I find, is sometimes to find what you don't like, you know? Like, it's almost like figuring out, like, how far one direction you have to go so you can, like, overcorrect and do the other one. I don't even feel like that's just musically, though. I feel like that is just, like, in life. It's like, we, you know, like, we move in one direction because we think that's the correct way to go, and then, like, sometimes we move way too far, and then we overcorrect, and we get close to where we're going to go, and then we go one direction, and then we overcorrect again, and it's like, every time you shave off, like, the edges, and you're just getting closer and closer to where you have to be, you know?
And the more you do that, you just get, like, this polished, you know, in my world, it'd be like a polished sound. A polished voice, approach, you know what I'm saying? So,
has that approach changed for you a lot over time? Like, the way that you approach, like, making songs? And has that kind of, like, as you've tried different genres and experimented a bit more, has that changed the way that you go about writing a song?
Absolutely. I think when I was younger, a lot of it was just expression. A lot of it was just expression. I knew, like, you know, I didn't focus so much on what I was writing. You know, it was more about like, this is how I was making people feel. But I think, you know, naturally as like I matured as just like a person and as an artist, it's like, you know, I get inclined to be like, you know, what am I actually saying? You know, what intent becomes like the conversation a lot. You know, it's like I'm really focused on, you know, what I'm saying and how it affects people. It's like, you know, you gotta have a message too. And I think you know, there's ways to get that message across. It doesn't have to be so literal in the lines, but I definitely, like, you know, now that I'm more mature, it's like, yo, I want to think about what I'm saying way more than just like, this is how I feel, fuck it. I like to think a bit more because, you know, sometimes that core expression is good. But, you know, sometimes if you just sit and think with it, it's like, you know, you might make something a little bit better. So, And
then, because I guess there's what you're saying and then there's how you say it. And those two things can be very, very different. Because, you know, like, a million artists can say the same thing, but if they say it in different ways, it might touch people in, like, entirely different ways. Like, I think about very often how, like, I mean, there's been lyrics that I have, like, stuck in my head for years that's about from certain artists. And then, like, I've come to either know them or like read about them, and they've been entirely different than the way I interpreted them, or like my take on a song and my take on like lyrics versus somebody else's. That's always so interesting to me, is like when I'll talk about a song with a homie and like what I think it's about, and then like how vastly different their interpretation of the lyrics can be, you know?
No, that's fire. I that like that kills me sometimes, because it's like I see that happen with like my supporters sometimes. It's like, you know, sometimes, and a lot of shit sometimes it's like I'm not even thinking so hard about it. It just, you know, boom, and people find their own, and that's the beautiful thing of it all, though. You know,
they find their own meaning in it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all that matters.
I never know how much, like, I mean, I'm not like putting out music like musician, but like I always think like how much is the right amount to buy into like what people take, or like how people like interpret what you're saying, and also like buying into like what you think they would like, or like what you think would make you more successful. Like, is there a balance to be struck, do you think, where you're thinking about like what would do well versus what you want to make, or is it all one or the other?
I think there is a balance to it, because ultimately I feel like you should always, once you start making music for people, like you're just trying to make music for people, then I don't know, at least for me, I'm speaking for me at least, it's like it takes some of the magic away, right? Because it's like now I'm thinking about just like, you know, what about me though, you know? Like most of my biggest records came from me like just no fucks given, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't no overthinking. It wasn't like, what if my people don't even know what they like until it's fucking out, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the truth. Nobody really knows what the fuck they like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you put it out and it gravitates, and just focus. I try to focus more on the love and what people are responding to, and I think that's the balance, right? Because it's like you got to focus on what people are responding to, but not like, don't try to appease them. It's like it's a real like tight line to, you know, to walk, but there is a balance to it. But I think if you're always coming with like the intent of like whatever, if you're like a trap rapper, it's like, you know what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? If you're an emotional artist, it's like you got to dive into your emotions for that, you know what I'm saying? So it just comes down to like you and your intent. You focus on that, and then you'll attract like who's necessary, for sure. Yeah, dude, that's a really interesting idea. The idea that people don't know what they want to hear, because I think that's so true. Like, I'll tell you this, like when I put out War Outside, none of my music before that sound like that. You know, I was making like hardcore rap shit, underground trap shit. You know what I'm saying? I put out War Outside, and I kid you not, I sat with a music person. I'll just say that. I sat with like a music person, and they told me like that song wasn't gonna do shit. You feel me? And told me that straight to my face. Like, they usually do. Yeah. It's like, you know, we don't really feel that. And then I put it out myself, and the shit has like 5 million streams. Yeah. So it's like I personally too had no anything to. My fans never reacted to anything like that. So it's like I just put that out because it felt good, and boom. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I mean, at the end of the day, that's like the only thing you can actually rely on, though, because everything else is so fickle. Like everything else is so like it can go. Because dude, like one of my biggest pet peeves in not only music but just life is people who like think they have the answers. Oh yeah. And like are really and like are unable to admit that they don't. Right. Like that shit to me. That shit kills me. Like I think it's like. It's almost like especially bad in music. Yeah. Like people like be A&Rs, managers, industry folk, whatever it is, but it's just like people who think there is one way to do this, like one way to make it work as a musician, when there's no blueprint. You can do this in a million different ways. The only common thread is that people give a fuck. Like if you can find like there's literally a million different ways to like get people to care. Yeah, I mean we see it like every day, bro. Like between like TikTok, and you hear some of these artists blowing up on TikTok, you hear some of these people blowing up through Twitter, or just real life events like that they have going. So many different ways. Yeah, there's no blueprint for this at all. Yeah, I think all of it is like, you know, experiencing, experimenting, and finding your own formula that works for you. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, you could give me the same script that this person did, and it's like I do the same thing and probably won't see any type of results. You know what I'm saying? But that's why it's like, you know, you just gotta take your experiences, just learn. You know, everything is about learning. Speaking on War Outside a little bit more, do you know where the momentum from that song first began to come from? Like, were you posting about it on TikTok a bunch, or was it just like user generated content? Like, when did it kind of start to like get momentum? Not TikTok. At that time, I wasn't even on TikTok. Just word of mouth, which I think is the best. Yeah. You know, I've had a couple moments like that where, you know, you put out a song at the right time and it speaks to people, it's like they want to play it. They want to tell people about it. They want to put their homie on. Their homie is gonna Shazam it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just like kind of like undeniable, like music. Something that just feels good, captures something. So a lot of it was like word to mouth, and I think real life events also helped it. Like, you know, there was like the riots going on out here, COVID. You know, there was like a narrative like I predicted this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a war outside. You know, so and I think that sums up that like little time period, that confusion. You know what I'm saying?
That was right during 2020, right?
Yeah. So you know, I think when I first put it out, there was just like separate bursts of like things happening in the world or whatever, and people made the song like the soundtrack to that. You know,
bro, that is so much cooler than it blowing up for like another reason, because like I'm sure you've thought about this, but like the idea that like historically like it paints a certain period, like it is one of the songs 2020 that like you know like does paint that period. So it's like when that's so cool with me though, that like even though you know that obviously not a good year for a lot of reasons, but like tragedy being linked to that is like really, really symbolic. Like, it's just cool. It's that symbolic, you know. Like you made a song that people can look back at and be like, that was like a 2020 song. Yeah,
I think you know, I try. That's like what I try to aim for. Whether it's like you know something like a serious event in real life, but like I think music is supposed to be like a soundtrack. You know, like there's so many times that you know, people will hit me up and be like, yo, like this song, I was going through some hard shit, you know what I'm saying? And this was like the soundtrack for like that period, or like, yo, I broke up with my girl, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's like, that shit like really touches my heart, because that makes the shit worth it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, I'm just expressing my fucking shit, you know what I mean? So you were able to like take that and it feel, you know, it gives you some type of like comfort in whatever you're going through. It's like, yo, more power, you know what I'm saying?
And I bet that was so like gratifying because of how long you had done it before.
Yeah.
Like there's like I think I relate to that too. Like I mean, not to say that like, your other stuff before didn't matter or do well or anything, but it's just like I've definitely had times where it's like I feel like I'm like screaming out into the void a little bit, you know? It's like you make shit for so long and it's like you just wait for that day where something catches.
Yeah.
It's like that had to be like such a crazy feeling in that moment, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. Cause I've had moments before where a song like elevated me or got me exposed to like people I never was exposed to before, which is always a great feeling.
Yeah.
But you know, I think especially it's like being like I've always wanted to be an artist. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not like I started rapping like a year ago. So, you know, this is like a dream type shit. So when you spend so much like mental energy and a lot of like dreaming, fantasizing, imagining, manifesting, when you get it, it's like fuck yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then, you know, it also could be a trick, and this is just a tool for anybody who may be in the same, like, be in that place right now. You know, you got to create new dreams too.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, because once you achieve it, then what, right?
Yeah.
It's like make sure you keep that imagination open, you know. Think even beyond what is beyond for you.
That's super key. Yeah, like moving the goalpost forward.
You have to, because otherwise you'll achieve it and then, you know, you'll get stagnant, or, you know, imagination dies because like I got it.
Yeah.
No, there's more, bro. You know, go further, keep dreaming. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. That's
interesting, because I don't know. Like I feel like I struggle from the opposite a little bit, like the human condition part of it, where it's like I dream about something for so long, and then you get there and you're like, now what? Like like I want more. You know, well, like, and even if it's not like I want more, it can also just be like that idea of like the comma, then I'll be happy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like it's like when I do this, then I'll be happy. When my song streams this many times, then I'll be happy. When I get this deal, I'll be happy. But it's like that is such a bad way to like look at the world, because there is nothing that can make you, in my opinion, there's no amount of money or followers or whatever it is, but it's like those metrics are not going to like fulfill you inside.
Like fulfillment is like a constant journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not, there's no like, I got this, boom. It's not A plus B equals C type shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a combination of things, you feel me? It's really about walking that path of life, you feel me, and searching for it, you know.
I feel like a lot of it is also like redefining what contentment means to you. At least it was for me.
It's different for everyone, for sure. And it's different for you in different periods of your life, for sure, you know.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Like when I was growing up, the idea of being content really terrified me. Yeah. And I don't really understand why now, because I've for so long I've like just been searching for like that. I mean, I'm very fulfilled, but like searching for that utter feeling of contentment, like that utter feeling of like, I made it, I'm here, I'm doing this, you know. And it's to a degree I don't really know if that exists, you know. It's like I don't know if there's any external like validation that can like really truly fulfill you, you know. You
know, one of the some of the best advice I ever got was like, be careful of like the illusions you choose, you know.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
A lot of it is because, you know, a lot of this shit is just, you know, we create these scenarios and these things like in our head mentally and based on where we're at, you know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes you can get stuck in a certain illusion, and it's not really that, because you could always change your perspective, you know. You could always change how you look at shit. So you know, I try to, with that, it's like, you know, I know, like at least with music, right? It's like, you know, you could always have like this illusion of like, if I get here, then I'll be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that in itself is like a gift and a curse, because now it's like you get there, okay, cool. You get that like little fulfillment. You don't get there, it's like, fuck, you know, I fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like we put ourselves in these imaginary like time frames, or this happens or this doesn't happen, then I'll finally have this, or I'll finally be here. You know what I'm saying? You know, you just gotta just whatever illusion you do choose, just, you feel me, be careful and just put your all into it type shit. You know
I think the big one with that is getting signed, and it's in music specifically. I think that is starting to redefine itself in a very interesting way. Whereas like, bro, like I feel like when I was a kid, at least, I mean, I don't know, maybe not when I was a kid, but like when I was really, really like super young, whenever you heard a musician talk about success, all they talked about was like, I just want to get signed and then get on, or whatever, you know. It's like that.
Magic pill. I get signed, I got the magic, I got the red pill, bro.
Yeah.
Everything's different.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and now it's like, I don't know if kids are thinking, like, I'd be very curious to talk to like a 17-year-old that's like really, really intent on like going into music and like, you know, knows like what a tiny bit about the music industry. I'd be very curious to ask if their goal is now to get signed. Right. Because it's like that, I don't know, it's kind of proved that like you can get signed and nothing can happen. Yeah. Or you can get signed and everything can happen because you blew up the right time. Or a label can do a ton, or a label can do nothing. But it's just like, you know, there's a whole wide variety of situations.
Yeah, I think, you know, at least when I was younger, there was like a gigantic like there was this like imaginary wall behind a lot of shit, right? And it's like, just like you're saying, it's like, yo, if I get signed, everything is different. But I think now, because we're in like the age of like information, people, there's so many ways to record yourself and be an artist and be independent. The tools are here. Like way back in the day, it's like, how the fuck are you recording yourself if you don't got the $5,000 this and the two, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays it's like, bro, like you could get a snowball microphone, get GarageBand for free and record yourself and it might fucking hit.
Or Audacity.
Yeah, real shit, that's crazy. Audacity. Way back. But yeah, definitely, you know, for sure. I think like, you know, the independence now is probably alluring. I think that's just like with culture in general. It's like everybody wants to be like independent, you know. Whether if it's not music, it's like a lot of kids want to be influencers or streamers, or they just want their own shit. Yeah. So yeah, I think like compared to when I was like growing up, where, you know, everything was like, you know, oh, I gotta get signed, or I gotta get a big manager, or I gotta get a, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely different right now.
Dude.
Sure.
It's funny you bring this up, because I was just talking about this with my roommate like earlier, and what I was talking about was like how it feels like, specifically in the major label system, the way in which they used to be able to gatekeep things is gone. Right. Like, you know, 20 years ago, like they could really like there's all like, the thing that comes to mind most specifically is distribution. Like the way they could gatekeep distro 20 years ago was crazy, and now distro companies are like the norm.
Right.
Or like, you know, even there's all kinds of things, be it like merch, be it touring, whatever it is. But like they could gatekeep stuff because like our access to not only like resources but more specifically information. Yeah, it was
like you need to know a guy that knows a guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, for real.
Exactly. And now it's like I can go on the internet for long enough I can be that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like the veil is lifted, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The veil is lifted, so it's like people are kind of seeing more, at least I feel like in comparison from my experience growing up and being a kid, I think like the kids now are able to see way more of what's actually going on or what actually goes into this. You know, it's not just magic, or it's not just this, you know, there's a lot of background things that get it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange too, like as you get older and get more and more into the music industry, like when that curtain starts to kind of reveal itself and it's like it's not so magic anymore.
Yeah.
like I remember before I ever threw a show, I threw my first show and I was like appalled by how like straightforward it was. Because like I remember before I ever did that, because you know you go to shows growing up and it seems like this gigantic thing, even if it's just like 3 artists in a 200 cap venue in some random city, you know, whatever it is, but it's like that feels huge to you when you're younger and you don't really understand it. But it was like, you know, I got older, I threw a show and I realized it was just a series of phone calls and emails, and I was like, this makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like when you're a kid looking at it from, you know, entirely from the outside, it's, you have no idea what goes into it.
Exactly. Feels like this huge list that like there's no way to get, you know, get all the details on.
Yeah. Looking back at like your early discography, it seemed like even like 2016, 2017, 2018, you were dropping like mostly projects. And I want to ask you this right now because we're kind of on that like music industry tangent. But when did you kind of make the? And it seems like more recently, you've been putting out more singles and stuff. You put out a single like a couple weeks ago. You know, you dropped like 3 or 4 already this year.
Yeah, hell yeah.
When did your mindset kind of shift there, and like when did you begin pursuing more single-based stuff versus like more complete projects, and why?
I think it just kind of happened naturally, just with like the times of like right now. You know, me as an artist is like I'd rather create from like a project form, you know, because it's easier for me to like dial in, you know. It's like, this is the project, this is what I want to say, this is what I want it to feel like, this is what I want it to look like, and it's easier to stretch that amongst different records than just one, right? Yeah. I think nowadays it's just, you know, I feel like not so much that attention span is shorter and all of that, but you know, if I put out a project, I just want it to be you know, something that people could actually really dive into. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really into like just fast food shit. Like, you know, just like here, boom, here's a project. You know what I'm saying? Like if I give a project, it's like I'm giving you like a piece of me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like earlier on, that's what I was doing, and I think that's how I was able to, you know, navigate my own like experimental shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like through projects. Like I'm gonna give you a project that sounds like this, that sounds like that, you know. But right now I've just been doing singles because you know, just want to test the water. Yeah. See like, hey, look, this is what I'm working on, you know, this is what I'm on right now, you know, and something I feel I hit like a good place like comfortability is like, all right, boom, maybe I could make an album out of this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or a lot of the times, some stuff will be an album, and I'm just releasing it as
interesting.
Too, you know? So,
yeah. That's an interesting point. Like, because it is way hard. Because what you were saying in the beginning about like having that entire rollout, it's like you can't do that as much with a single. A single smaller, it's, you know, not that it's not significant, but it's harder to build that world. Yeah. Whereas like a project is such like it could, you know, encapsulate a 2, 3, 4, whatever year period of time. Yeah. And it's like the rollout of it and the world that you're making can be so much bigger, you know. Whereas like the single thing though, it's really beneficial to get those ideas off that you don't know like if they can be fleshed out into a gigantic thing. So it's like, but they're still worth telling, you know. Right.
And absolutely. And like, you know, and sometimes I think like a single sometimes can, you know, it has like legs sometimes that an album may not have. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes an album is intimidating if you don't know who the fuck I am. Totally. You're not sold on me.
Yeah,
You're like, all right, I don't know this guy. You know what I'm saying? But it's so much easier to be like, you know what? Let me see this one song, boom. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm playing. That's how I'm like doing it right now.
Yeah, and it's dope that you've been doing it for so long, but you're still experimenting too.
Oh hell yeah!
That's
I'll never
so
stop,
key, bro.
I'll never stop.
Like learning every single day and figuring something out.
I feel like you have to experiment, man. Like it's also important to like lock into something and build whatever. But I think experimenting is like where those like what the fuck innovative, like real innovative ideas are like spawned from, for real.
Do you have any of those that come to mind, like moments or lessons that you had along the way that like changed everything for you?
Like musically?
Or in life too.
Yeah, I mean shit, cause I'll say this, like when I was younger, I used to always be like, yo, I want to make a rock band. Like I want to be in a rock band, but I ain't know shit about being in a rock band. Because I was really like on some real rap shit. So, I think like having that like wonder, like that little spark, like yo, I want to do that. I don't know how to, and then I just fucking tried it. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of like made its own type of sound. And sometimes a lot of like I'll make like a rock record and then I realize like, yo, I could do this shit on something that's more like rap based and it's kind of harder, or like, you know what I'm saying, vice versa. It's like a lot of taking pieces and putting it together, so
it's interesting too, because I feel like some people think those two worlds, or even any world musically, are such like a far cry from each other. Like there's nothing in similar, but bro, music is so like, genre is so like wishy-washy, like the lines connect so loosely,
especially now, bro. There's so many subgenres and it's impossible to sometimes people will ask me, they're like, oh, like what genre is your music? I'm just like, I don't fucking know, because it's like literally it's me, it's DrownMili, bro. It's a little bit of everything. I don't know, I can't say it's rock, I can't say it's just rap, I can't say it's just whatever, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, dude,
there was like I had a conversation with a homie of mine the other night about this, and we were talking about how like the metal community feels, I don't know why, but they have this weird fucking need to like invent a new subgenre every 6 hours, and it's like I don't know, like that shit to me is so stupid. Like they need to like ultra label everything and like so specific, bro. Like if you look, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Like I've done this before. If you look up list of metal subgenres, it is it's so nuts. Death metal, black metal, groove metal, thrash metal, glam metal, power metal, gothic metal, progressive metal, doom metal, metalcore, symphonic metal, folk metal, industrial metal, new metal, alternative metal, funk metal, grindcore metal, black gaze, drone metal, heavy. Like it's so stupid, bro. Like, bro. And I don't know if there's it's. I mean, I guess you could say like other genres are like that, but like not to that degree, bro. Sorry, I'm not on my phone. I'm just trying to pull up the questions, but like not to that degree. I feel like the idea, like the one that gets to me is speed metal. That what is that? Just up tempo?
Yeah, right.
Like
up tempo.
Like what is that? What does that even mean? And I guess like they rap. There's a ton of subgenres too, I guess, but it's like in rap, like at least I feel like they generally like are significant. Like they're signifying a pretty significant change in like sound or production or whatever.
Right.
In metal, dude, I don't feel that way. Like I feel like all of like the lines like they blur so fast, dude. Yeah. What do you think, if you had like some advice or a big lesson that you learned along the way in terms of longevity, in terms of like how you stay balanced and healthy and keep going every single day, for someone who's listening who like is just getting into it or is getting to a point where they feel burnt out, what would you say?
Fuck everyone, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, and I got that advice when I was younger and I didn't take it because I thought it was like offensive. Like, what do you mean,
Yeah.
But really, when you say like fuck everyone, it's not like like piss off, but you have to put your needs and the things that you truly want first. You gotta be like, you gotta be selfish, and selfish, it doesn't have to have like a negative connotation. It depends on how you look at it. I think everybody should put themselves first.
Yeah.
And by you putting yourself first, everybody that's around you, you're doing way better for them because you're your best self.
Yeah.
You can't kind of, you show up into situations and experiences, kind of like halfway of a person, that you're not actually really creating what you want, so I say just fuck everyone. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta say fuck everyone. Like, what do I want?
Yeah. That's so key.
Yeah,
it is. And I feel like more than others, I think good people struggle with that because good people really, really want to be there for everybody.
Yeah.
And they really want to, like, provide for everybody, like, how, in whatever way, emotionally, financially, whatever. But it's just, like, be there for people, make yourself available, be a good friend, be a good partner, be a good son, daughter, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That shit is really hard as, like, a person who has that guilt. Just take a step back and, like, really prioritize yourself. And, like, if the homies want to hang out, but you need to, like, just chill one night and not be around people, like, not feeling bad for not doing that,
Yeah, I think that's, like, something, at least, like, being an artist is something, like, I, like, struggle with, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's, like, always trying to think about, like, other people, I don't want to rub people the wrong way. I want people to, enjoy themselves in my company or whatever. So it's, like, a lot of my actual wants, like, get put on the back burner. You know what I mean? And as a form of, like, keeping, like, this idea of, like, happiness or calmness or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Keeping that alive. But, like, real shit, that shit will, like, burn you out for real.
Yeah.
It burns you out. So it's, like, you gotta, definitely gotta, like, just put yourself first, because and there's a balance to that. There's a balance to that. There's nothing wrong with going out your way for people.
Yeah.
If you have a big heart, that's a great thing. Like, I feel like the world could convince you it's not, but it is. You just gotta find, like, that balance of, as much as you're, like, pouring into other people, just make sure you're pouring into yourself.
Yeah. It's like if you're filling up, it's like if all the relationships in your life, and then, like, like your mental health, your physical health, whatever it is, like, they're all like little glasses, and you got to make sure, like, there's enough water in all of them, and if there's too much water, one overflows, but one also can't be empty.
Absolutely.
They all got to be at, like, some kind of equilibrium.
Right. Yeah.
But that shit is so difficult, man. Like, I think the hardest part too, at least for me, is, like, setting your boundaries and then, like, not allowing anybody to, like, break them, and, like, not like if someone's like, yo, like, fuck staying in, let's just go out tonight and do this or whatever, it's like not being convinced, because, like, it's almost like a practice in trusting yourself,
right?
Like, trusting that you genuinely know what's best for you.
It's all, I feel like a lot of it is, like, momentum based, and you have to build these things up, especially if you're, like, a person who hasn't done that or doesn't do it at all. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of it is building. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna do shit like, why the fuck did I do that? You know what I'm saying? But, like, with just, like, self-discipline and whatnot, it's like, you keep trying, and you keep there's tools, man. Like, I like writing, you feel me? I like post-it notes. I like all of that shit. Sometimes you have to fucking force it. You gotta bully yourself sometimes, bro. Real shit. Like, nigga, why the fuck you say you staying in today? Why the fuck you outside from 9 to 5? You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, bugged out. Like, so I think you gotta be, like, your own, like, enforcer for your shit. You gotta apply it. And it's okay to make mistakes, but you keep making mistakes as a pattern.
Dude, I think I've been, like, hella bad about, like really bad about not like making sure that those things are conscious, because I think I've assumed at times that, like, they just come naturally, and I don't think they do. Like, I don't think balance comes naturally. Like, people will say shit like, oh, it sorts itself out, like, the correct thing will reveal itself. I don't really believe that. Like, I think you have to, like, every day show up and, like, practice balance in the same way you're practicing, like, discipline or respect or, like, kindness or whatever. But it's like balance is something to maintain. Like, that's difficult, bro. Like, I mean, for me, I think it's for a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but it's like remembering that, like, you have obligation to yourself as much as you do your job, as much as you do your family, and all that thing. It's like watering all those cups, but it's like I don't think comes naturally to anybody. I really don't.
Nah, me too. You know, I don't think I'm like naturally balanced. I'm either up or I'm down or I'm left or right type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it takes like you know, for people that are like similar, it's like, you know, it takes a lot more like willpower and intent to like build upon those things, because there are people who are just like naturally, you know, balanced and know how to do this without being like overwhelmed, overworked, or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? But you know, everybody's a little different, so you know. But I still think even those people, all because you are gifted in something, like, you know, you still got to build upon it as well. Yeah,
no, dude, exactly. I was like looking through like some of your older tracks and stuff, and like your SoundCloud and stuff, and just how long you've been in it. Talk about like the New York scene that you kind of came up in, and like how you like got tapped in with like a lot of your earlier collaborators. I found a song you did with Kevin Abstract like years and years and years ago, which is really cool because it's on some like old, it's just like older New York shit, like which is really dope. How have you gone about like managing collaborations throughout your career and like meeting people, and like are you somebody who likes writing and working and being in the studio with people, or do you find yourself now doing it less or more? Like how has that kind of changed throughout your career?
I think like earlier on in my career, a lot of it was just, I think at first it was like, you know, there were people that I admired musically, like Kevin Abstract was one of those people, like early, you know, it's like you said, it's like 2014 or something, 2015, so he was just kind of catching steam. And like I said, I always had like a really good ear for like, you know, or a good eye for like, yo, this person is doing some dope shit. So a lot of that was like reaching out and, you know, just like, yo, look, check my shit out, like on the same type of, you know, whatever. But I think especially like, you know, later in my career, I wanted to focus more on me, you know, like I stopped doing a whole bunch of collaborations because it's like I wanted to attract people, you know, to me for like my sound, you know. I think it's really important initially to like have your own like core fan base, because otherwise it's like people are checking you out for the other artists and they may not even care, you know what I'm saying? But I think, you know, at a certain point, I think I built that like core fan base and shit. Now, you know, I prefer to work in the studio with someone. But, you know, sometimes it's just not possible. So, you know, you still got to do shit, you know, through email or whatever. But I'd rather like work with somebody in person, because it's like less work that way. Yeah, dude. Because we're like, whatever we're creating is like very true right now. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you caught a vibe and I'm like, okay, boom, you know, that's cool. But like, yeah, when you're with like another artist kind of like creating and shit, you know, I think it's like a little bit more fun. It's like a little bit more enjoyable. There's
also the energy in the room, I think, is such a palpable thing. Natural, like that's huge, dude.
Like, yeah, I like to, cause you know, I'm not really into like just like, yo, be in the studio and then leave, you know. It's like, yo, let's go to the bar, like what's going on in town, like let's hang out, go to the studio and rap about what the fuck just happened, you know. So it's so simple, you know. It's just more fun that way, you know? So,
I mean, that's like another area where like the balance of like music and life kind of like gets difficult and blurry, you know. It's like that's one thing I think I've heard a lot of musicians talk about too, is like being in the studio so much and like writing and recording so much and being like drowning yourself, no pun intended, drowning yourself in that so much that like you at a certain point like run out of shit to talk about. Like you need to live life.
Yo, real shit. Yo, nah, that happens to me sometimes where I'll just be like locked in and it's like I'll make one song, I'm like, oh yeah, then I'm on two. It's like I'm locked in, and then it's like, yo, you know, boom. I always like, I think like the biggest thing is like, yo, take a break when necessary. You know, like just stop, bro. Like, you feel me? Sometimes you have to power yourself through. You feel me? But sometimes you just need to like take a break and find inspiration, you know? Like inspiration and creativity are fleeting things. They're always like running away from you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like sometimes you have to step away, you know. I do simple shit, you know. People like, what do? You get writer's block. Like, I go for a walk. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just simple, just regular life shit, you know? And I think like, you know, through those experiences, like you take that back and you might find something that sparks something, you know what I mean?
That's super well said. Inspiration is fleeting. That's very like
fleeting, bro.
I've always thought too, like that. I think something that's very specific, like very similar to that rather, is motivation. Like I think motivation is so fleeting and so like, and like unreliable even, that like I don't even fully think it's something you should like count on. Like,
absolutely.
I think like motivation and inspiration are two different things, right? It's like motivation is like that ability to push yourself through something, through that like that creative block
you
don't want
to do, or something that you're running from.
Yeah,
or, you know.
Whereas, yeah, exactly. Whereas like inspiration, I think, is like this feeling that like grips you, and you're like, shit, like this just happened. I need to say this about it.
Yeah,
it's like two entirely different things.
Exactly.
And I think if you like, you know, be it whatever, like even in art or not.
Yeah.
If you're always working out of inspiration, you're going to be functioning at your highest level, because you're never going to be like, I just think forcing yourself to do things is an unsustainable manner. And it's, and you know, that sounds silly coming from me, because I feel like I do it a lot, but like, but it's like the best shit I ever make is when like I feel like I can't stop typing, or like I can't like put the pen down after when I'm writing something, or like I can't put my camera down or stop editing, you know. It's like that's the time where like
it's like the magic.
It's like that flow state, you know.
The flow state. Nah, absolutely. That's, I like what you said though. Motivation, you know, like inspiration is fleeting. Like, I mean,
motivation is fleeting.
Yeah, motivation is like fleeting. It's something like you can't depend on it. It's not dependable.
Yeah,
you know?
It's unreliable.
Yeah, it's not. You know, sometimes you gotta like power through that shit. You don't feel like it. You know.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's basically it.
What like inspiration wise, where do you find yourself finding the most like I guess strong and visceral like inspirations? Like, is it in people around you? Is it in experiences? Is it in like things that happen? Like, when do you feel most motivated to like run to the studio, or like run to, you know, start writing something?
It's a mix. Like, people inspire the fuck out of me. You know, like a lot of my friends and just regular, you know, my mother, like, you know what I'm saying? Just find inspiration. A lot of my shit comes, I think, just like kind of internally on like just experiences, or, you know, something I pondered about for a little bit. You know, sometimes I'm big on like looking within. You feel me? Like, I'm big on like man in the mirror type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, but I love it though. It's just like, you know, that's just like the type of person I am. So I'm always you know, taking ideas or something I saw, something I read, and like bouncing it off of, you know, off of me, myself, and what I think about it, and challenging it, you know. And sometimes through that you find, you know, interesting topics. I think a lot of my music, you find like a lot of like confliction, or like you get a lot of these like mixed emotions about shit, you know. That's why, going back to what we were talking about earlier, with like people finding their own meanings in the songs, you know, because a lot of it is just like, you know, I'm trying to inspire people to like think about this shit. You know? Like, what do you think about this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, whether it's some like real deep shit, or it could be surface level, whatever, but, you know, just kind of like bouncing that off of me and giving it to you type shit, you know. I
think that is like a superpower, bro. Like, the ability to like sit the fuck down and like really like, I don't want to say judge yourself, but like analyze yourself. Like, sit down and say, like, where am I going right? Where am I going wrong? What am I failing at? What am I succeeding at? How do I like get to a place where I'm in the green opposed to the red, you know? It's like that, to me, is like that honest self-critique is a superpower. That's why I think having good friends or relationships that like, you know,
super plus,
like very similar way, or people can like honestly analyze you, and you take it thoroughly and honestly and constructively, that is like everything, dude.
That's like the best, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude, for sure. All right, last thing I wanted to ask you.
Hell yeah.
If you had like one message that you could spread through your music, like when it's all said and done, like if there was one big bow to tie around all your music and your artistry and what people took from it, what would it be?
That's a really good question. One thing, I think like, you know, like life is like, life could be hard. Like, life could be, I feel like we're always constantly like at war with something, right? Like, we're always battling something, whether that's like, you know, you don't like the way someone's treating you, you don't like your job and you want something better, or whatever, you know. There's always these little wars that we go through, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I think that sometimes it's not so much about like, you know, getting lost in the journey and getting lost in what you're fighting for, but, you know, just kind of seeing the bigger picture. You know, I try to, like, at least with my music, it's like, you know, I'm big on just, like, putting my music and putting my emotions, my feelings, my real life experiences out there. You know, my wars, like my personal wars that I go through, you know what I'm saying, and connecting with other people, you feel me? And, you know, I look back at some of my songs and I hear about, like, some of the shit that I was going through at the time that may not resonate as much as right now, you know what I'm saying? But it still rings, like, you know, it still brings me, like, joy, because it's like, you know, you still get those people that may be going through that, like, right now, you know? It's like shit I made when I was, like, 19, and some, like, other 19-year-old right now is like, yo, like, bro, understand. So yeah, that's, I guess, in short, my advice is, like, you know, life can be a war, you know, but don't get so caught up in the fight, because, you know, always something after.
Life can be a war, but don't get caught up in the fight. Yeah. That's, wow, that's very well said. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Always something more, man, for sure.
Yeah. Hell yeah. DrownMili.
Hell yeah,
appreciate you, bro. Hey, that was awesome, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dressed to Kill is out. Been bumping it. Tell them where they can stream it. They can follow you. They can find you.
Hey, you can follow me on Instagram at DrownMili and DrownMili on everything else. I'm on Apple Music, Spotify, fucking SoundCloud, YouTube, Amazon, everything. So ain't no reason you ain't listening, man. Let's tap in. Let's do it.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you,
That was all fun. All right. Music matters.